Hi, my name is Kathleen Sarette, and I've done a couple decorating cooking classes at the Senior Center in Thomasville. And this time today we're going to do some 4th of July star cookies. So the things you're going to need is the recipe for the cookies, which is very simple. It's just butter, sugar, flour, eggs, baking powder, and vanilla. And it's one of my favorite recipes because you do not have to refrigerate this dough to make it. So once you make your dough, then you just have to roll it out and then you cut them out. So these are the cookies that we're going to start with today. That's the start, and this will be the finish. So the first thing you're going to do also is you need to make your royal icing. Royal icing consists of 4 cups of powdered sugar, 3 tablespoons of meringue powder, which I buy the Wilton's meringue powder that you can get it at Walmart or Michael's. You cannot get it at Hobby Lobby. I love this one the best. I'm just partial. So you need 3 tablespoons of that and 5 tablespoons of lukewarm water. And that's just to get the base started. And as it's being mixed, then you need to continue adding more water to the frosting until it gets to the consistency that you need. And there's a couple kinds of consistencies. There's the piping consistency, which you will see when I start. There's the flooding, which you'll see. And on the flooding, then that's when we make the nice little star design here. So let's get started. So I've already got my frosting made, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the piping one, and I'm going to pipe along the sides of the star. And I'll hold this up when I get it all done. This kind of frosting does not run. It kind of gives a dam so that your flooding frosting will not flood over the edges. Very important too is you keep everything closed up, because on royal frosting, it hardens very quickly. When it's a thick cookie though, it takes about 8 hours to completely harden, but it will dry out and your chips will dry out, and then you're gonna have to take a toothpick to unclog it. So there it is, that you can see that I piped around the edge of the cookie. Now I'm gonna take the flooding frosting, and I'm just gonna, exactly what I'm saying, I'm gonna flood the center. Flood, flood, flood. Once you get a good amount of flooding on it, then you're going to take a spatula, and on the spatula, I'm not sure you can see it, but there's a round point. They're the best ones instead of the complete round. This is more of a point. So that you're going to take the frosting and you're going to flood it right up to your piping. You cannot go hurt. You just don't want the flood to go over your piping edge that you have. So this will take me about a minute to do this. And sometimes you think you have enough frosting, but you may not, so you may have to add some more. I use 2 hands usually because I like to keep my hands steady, and it seems the older I get, the less steady my hands are. So, going to continue smoothing it out. And it looks like I may need to add a little bit more, so add a little bit more. And I like these bottles better than the piping bags. They are a little harder to clean, and but you can store your royal frosting in them up to 3 days. Not refrigerated. Royal frosting does not need to be refrigerated, even though you're using a meringue powder, which is meringue powder is an egg white. dehydrated, but because it's dehydrated, you do not have to refrigerate these cookies. Even after you complete your cookies, you don't have to refrigerate them. Just store them in a nice airtight container and they will last a really long time. So I have flooded the cookie and I'm going to shake it down, and what that does is just kind of makes that frosting even. It helps it kind of move to where it needs to move. Okay, the next step is we're going to take the red and we're going to pipe another line inside there. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to pipe another line. Make sure it starts. So now I've got another star within a star. I'm going to take the blue, and nothing has to be perfect because it's one thing about these cookies. They're like a firework. So fireworks aren't perfect. They're just the way they are. They come out whenever how it comes out. So you don't have to worry about it. Oops. Then I'm going to make just a blue dot in the center. And then I'm going to take a toothpick. And I'm going to start in the center at the blue dot, and I'm just going to pull it. I'm going to pull it right through the blue, the white, and the red. And I'm going to go around each one of the star points. And again, you don't have to be perfect, because trust me, I'm not. And then I'm going to go to the not to the points and bring it out. And there's your cookie. Let's see if you can see that. Now this one I didn't do as much. The blue isn't as much as this one, but see, they're different. It doesn't matter. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my piping again, and I'm going to pipe the star around it. And then I'm going to take, I put some little pearls, they're called non-pearls. They're red, white, and blue. I'm going to take this cookie and I'm going to turn it upside down and I'm going to stick it into the pearls. And what I'm trying to do is stick all these little red, white, and blue to, as you can see, the edges of the cookie. And you just keep going around until you can do it. Get them all the way you'd like it. Okay, so there it is. So then I'm going to take, I can take red, white, or blue, and I'll go ahead and just do a red one. And I'm going to flood that one again. I have a small tip on here because I was working on these cookies earlier, so give me a minute. I'm going to change tips out real quick. That's one thing about the bottles that I like about, because if you have a bag, you're kind of stuck with that tip because it's inside the bag. With these bottles, you can change the tip out as many times as you want. So what I'm trying to do is get a bigger nozzle, a wider bottom, so I can put more frosting on instead of a little stream. Flooding it, just like we did with the white. I picked up a clean one because the other one had white on it and I don't want white in my red. So it's always good to have a few extra tools. And then I'm going to push my frosting right up to my line of those little pearls red, white, and blue pearls. These are fun cookies for the 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, somebody that just wants to be very patriotic. They're just kind of a fun little easy. And you don't just have to use stars. I have an example of I made cookies and I did hearts. Do the exact same idea with a heart. I have a flag cookie cutter. So you're not just stuck to the stars. Need a little bit more frosting. And there it is, flooded with the red, white, and blue little stars by it. Now I can take my white and go around it. And again, you don't have to be perfect. It's kind of like art. Art isn't always perfect, though I try to be perfect, unfortunately try. You can see my star in the center is nothing like the star on the outside. So we'll go this way. And now we're going to pull, oops, yep, I think we have enough. I'm going to pull from the center and over. And there's one, another one that's like a firework. And so the other one I can do is I can make an American flag on it. Okay? So I'm going to pipe an area on this cookie that will be the blue. And actually I better start with blue, not white. And then I will pipe the stripes, and that'll be that. That's kind of a deformed cookie. Maybe I have a better one. Yep. And don't fear if you have a crack in your cookie, because you're going to cover it up and no one's going to notice it. You probably can't even notice it on the video. One a little close to the edge, so it might drip, so I'm going to push it back. Take some white and go around it. It's always good to have a dam, because it will run over if your frosting is too runny. Okay, I'm going to flood this with white, and then I'll just put some red stripes on it. Not one of my best jobs. And again, you just push your frosting up to your piping dam. A little bit of blue on my boo-boo. That's okay. Nothing's perfect. I'm going to shake it just to flatten it out, and then I'm going to pipe on some red stripes. And then if I really wanted to get fancy, I could just take some of these little sprinkles and put them on the blue part or the stars. And that's the flag. This is called wet on wet. So in other words, I'm putting frosting on top of frosting, and it's wet on wet. There's wet on dry, but to do a wet on dry, you would need about 8 hours to let that first coat dry, and then you can pipe over the top and it'll give it a 3D look. So that's the 4th of July cookies. I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe we'll come back to you and do another kind of cookie. Talk to you later. Bye.